My uncle is a cheater, but he's also a thief. I found out he was stealing from the family business, and I have respect for him, okay? So I gave him an opportunity to come clean. When I realized, oh man, I messed up, he's not coming clean, I decided that I'll just nip this in the bud and take care of it. But when I went to expose him at the next family gathering, you won't believe the lie that he cooked up. Until the last few months, my life had been mostly drama-free, even though I had a big family and most of us worked together. Do you know how lucky you have to be to not experience any drama with a big family? I considered myself to be very lucky that I had such understanding and peaceful family members. Well, all of that has gone down the drain because of my uncle. He's not caused any drama yet, but if my family, including my parents, find out what's happening, it's going to become a big issue. Normally, it would not really be my problem, but this time I'm right in the middle of it, and the responsibility of either ignoring it or telling everyone has fallen on my shoulders. In short, my uncle has put me in a very terrible position, and I can't even blame it fully on him. I can't decide if he's wrong or not in this or what I should do, but hey, let me fully explain it. I'm Jason. I'm 27, male. I live happily with my parents and work alongside my family members in the family business owned by my parents. Most of my family members live close by and work with us. The main ones include my Uncle Ricky, Aunt Jess, my aunt on my mom's side Ray, and a few distant cousins. Of course, my parents also work with us, and it's a typical family-owned business. We make a lot of stuff from clothing to figurines and a lot more things. I mostly work on design and research, and every family member has their own job to do. At least from what I see, there's no animosity between any of us. And I've always been proud of that, and everyone loves to work and is more than satisfied with what we give them in return. And also, our business is growing rapidly due to our popularity on social media. I wish I could tag our business here, but I want to stay anonymous. So everything I'm experiencing now started a few months ago when I started getting this feeling that there was something wrong with my uncle. He was just acting a little weird. So I thought nothing of it, but when he continued to act just a little off, I started getting a little bit worried. I knew it was either personal or business-related stress, but I could not distinguish it at first. The business, it was running well, so I just simply believed that it could not be the issue, so it was probably family-related stress. Uncle's son is studying in college, and I know that he's doing well, so it was not him that only left my aunt. I figured that they were going through something internally, so I did not pry. At any point, I could have asked what's going on, but I didn't want to force my uncle to say something he didn't want to share, so I let it go. Then about 2 months ago, Uncle's uncle told us about the people who supply us the material for the stuff we make having decided to hike their prices effective immediately. He told everyone that he had known this for weeks and was just trying to find an alternate for discounts, but it did not work. I'll be honest, I was a little happy hearing this, because this meant that they raised the prices. It was a thing that was bugging him. And although it was a problem for the business, it wasn't a major one. We could deal with a bit of it and buying it a little costlier by making a few changes. The next few weeks, I only observed my uncle, and it seemed that he was fine. But something kept telling me that there's something else that's going on. See, I could not stop thinking about what's happening with him and why he was so stressed. The price hike thing was not a big enough issue to cause him that much tension. Then one day he did something more weird. After about 3 weeks since the price hike meeting, my uncle asked me why there were changes in the product of why our monthly budget looked weird. I, for a second thought he was drunk because he's the one who told us about the price hike and the person who buys the materials, so him forgetting about it is absolutely absurd. I laughed and asked him if he was simply joking, but he was dead serious and asked me why I was smiling. I then reminded him of that price hike that happened at the start of the month, and his eyes widened. He tried to play it off as him being stupid, but this left an impression on me that something was really, really wrong. So I started to actually focus on him more, and at first I believed he and Aunt Jess were probably fighting, and this was making him lose focus. A few days later, I spoke with my aunt and did not ask anything directly, of course. But our conversation told me that things were good between them. He was actually taking her on a date that same day, and she told me that he had become more romantic as of recently. Then I had no option but to snoop on him and check his phone. I mean, I had the option to walk away, but I didn't want to abandon my uncle. So when he was busy with some other work, I went to his cabin and checked his phone and found the receipts that he had gotten after buying our last shipment. I think he had just received it because otherwise he would have deleted it immediately. That's because according to the receipts, he was buying the materials at the same price without any increment, meaning that the prices had not been raised, at least from the seller's side, but we were paying the increased price for my uncle to keep the rest. I had to double and triple check because I could not believe that he was stealing from us. Before I could see anything more, I heard him enter. So I put everything back the way that it was, and I was shell-shocked by the fact that my uncle was stealing from us. And I had to take an entire day to process what was happening. Then I had to make the decision to either tell everyone else or confront him. Well, I gave this a lot of thought, but no matter what I'd seen, I found it hard to believe that my uncle would steal from us this way. I then decided, you know what? I'm going to confront him about all this and learn what was actually going on. A week ago, I told my uncle I needed to talk to him and told him everything I'd seen. He did not deny it or anything, and straight away he admitted that he was wrong, but still asked me to not tell anyone and that he was the reasoning behind it. He has a reason. He said that his mother-in-law is in the hospital and he has been paying a big amount for her bills. You know, I do sort of remember hearing that his mother-in-law was hospitalized a while ago, so this is true. Aunt asked him to pay using the money that they saved, but my uncle had close to no savings left. He said that he lost the savings, but investing in something has been scared of telling his wife the truth. He seemed very genuine and embarrassed and had tears in his eyes, and he told me that he was doing this to avoid telling his wife the truth, but it was just making his guilt worse. He said that he already decided to come clean in a few weeks anyways, and even said that I can tell them if I want to. I told him I trust him and that he needs to come clean with everybody as soon as possible. Then he thanked me and simply apologized and was just making me feel like he was stealing. He was planning to make the money back soon too, both of us and him, and I did decide to trust him, but now it's been a week and I've started feeling bad about my decision. What if it's something else and not what he told me and he's playing me? What if the family gets mad at me for keeping it from them for such a long time? These are the kind of thoughts that have been running in my head, and, this has put me in a dilemma. So my question is to you guys, do I keep my word and stay confident in my decision, or do I go behind his back and tell everybody the truth? I'm sure everybody will understand his position. I don't know about my aunt, and, well, it'll be fine. Right now, I'm thinking that my family, and especially my parents, will be more upset at the fact that I did not tell them when I found out. There is also the possibility that my uncle is lying and is actually doing something else, but hey, I don't even want to consider this. Should I tell my family just to be safe? I mean, what should I do? What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. Oh man, a family drama. So you have family and business, and those never mix. However, there's two comments, completely different opinions on each. Let's check out the first one from Trendsetter. OP, you're overthinking this and you should just trust your uncle. You were so worried about him at first, and now that he has told you what he's going through, you should respect it. What's the worst that can happen? Your family might get a little mad you for not telling them? But other than that, you will make your uncle very happy. See, OP, the consequences he's facing far outweigh what you might go through. He's made many mistakes, but it looks like he's willing to, do it to keep up with his wife happy. Plus, if he was actually stealing without the intention of ever telling, he would not easily accept the blame like he did. Give him a chance. Comment number 2 from Biblical Bob. The uncle has played you like a fool, OP, and it's not too late right now to go tell your family. The story he told you sounds very made up and has many inconsistencies. If he was actually going through something like that, he could have just told your father or any other family members, because from what you said, it sounds like you guys are doing well financially. Plus, if he had asked, the family would probably let him take the money anyway, so why create such an elaborate lie? Well, let me explain, because he's actually stealing and just had an alibi ready in case somebody found out. Right now, your uncle is planning on destroying you, and you better be ready to face the consequences. Update number 1. It's been over a week since my post, and unfortunately, crap has hit the fan for me. Guys, I want to start this by apologizing to several people who told me not to trust my uncle and tell everyone. I wish I would have listened to you, but I'm not sure that it would have saved me either way. It's just that I would have had a better case, so let me explain exactly what happened. A few days went by after I wrote my post, and I was waiting to read the responses you guys left for me. Later, I had a conversation with my aunt that really shocked me. I wasn't trying to pry or even check anything my uncle said because I did believe him. Also, if you remember, I said that I had heard about this mother-in-law of his getting hospitalized. So when I was speaking to my aunt, I got curious and asked her how Mom was doing to just know if she was stable or in critical. Still. My aunt then tells me that her mother went out of the hospital months ago, and she was only in critical for a few weeks. She said that her mother was still a little sick, but she did not need to be hospitalized. Well, guys, this is the point. I realized that my uncle had tricked me, and I had fallen for it so easily. I also asked her about a joint savings and she had with her uncle, and she said that they keep money separately, but both of them know who uses how much all the time. As you can probably guess, this scared me, as I realized I had been played for a fool. I didn't want to waste any time, but my parents were busy that day. So immediately the next day, I gathered everyone to tell them the truth. As I was explaining everything to them, my uncle also showed up with my aunt. And he did not act surprised at all. After I finished, the family members asked Uncle to explain what's going on. The fact that he was so calm was scaring me. I was right in imagining that this was about to blow up in my face instead of him. My uncle looked a bit disappointed at me and said that he knew I was going to do something like this but hoped I did not. Then he told everyone that he had actually caught me stealing from the business and asked me to come clean but had doubts that I was going to do it. So just for safety, he dug up my secret bank account and how I took the money and also had a voice recording. I, on the other hand, had no real proof except for the fact that the prices had been raised. Uncle then showed everyone fake proof and an AI made a voice recording of me where he was playing me. And I was digitally made. It sounded very much like me, and he had put in static noise to hide the imperfections. So expect that from me and him. Nobody could doubt it. Guys, in the voice note, I told him how I was stealing, and I begged not to tell anybody. And he gave me an ultimatum. As I was hearing it, I could not believe it. He was really flipping the entire story on its head. Then I decided to pull out my trump card and asked Dad to call the person who supplied us the material and ask for the prices. Everyone was confused, but it was clear that they believed Uncle more. My aunt could not believe what was happening and asked me if I was seriously blaming him. And I just stayed silent. I wanted to prove it rather than argue about it. But it turned out I was holding in false hope as I failed spectacularly. I can't explain the feeling I had when the guy on the phone told Father that the prices had indeed increased and I was proven wrong. I knew that this was another trick by Uncle, but at this point I could do nothing. I just had to accept it. Then the family members started bombarding me with questions while Uncle just gave me a small little smile. Obviously, I tried to go ahead and explain everything, but nobody was believing me. My aunt even slapped me. My father, he was the most disappointed, and I kept trying to talk to him, but he refused to even look at me. He told me that he regrets raising me and kicked me out of the house and the family. It's been a devastating experience, and I still see my father's disappointment in his face, and, well, wake up sobbing. Right now, I've moved in with my girlfriend, June. She's motivating me to prove myself, but I don't know how to do it. I don't even think at this point it's possible to prove that I didn't steal. What would you do? What's up, guys? Mr. Reddito here. Yes, this is a very delicate situation. I can't believe OP's uncle would go and do this. Guys, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button for daily drama stories. And let's check out update number 2, 1 month later. Hey guys, it's been about a month since I last wrote you, and there's been a development in my situation. No, I've not proven yet that I'm actually innocent or something like that, but I found something that's both shocking and interesting. It's probably not going to be as shocking to you guys as it was to me, but still. So after my update, I decided that I had no choice but to keep trying, as I didn't want to let my uncle keep getting away with what he was doing. For over a week, I kept trying to contact my family members, but everybody just ignored me or asked me to never contact them again. My own parents threatened to call the cops when I tried to force them to hear me out. All of them think that I only used the business, even though they've also always known the kind of person that I am. I've never been very interested in money, but they still believe the evidence that Uncle was showing them. As I was starting to lose hope, my girlfriend suggested taking a different route and trying to prove myself against my uncle. Well, I agreed with her idea, so I took my girlfriend's vehicle and tailed my uncle for a few weeks. Honestly, after almost 2 weeks, I was close to giving up because I'd found nothing interesting or worth looking into. But one rainy day, I found something that blew my mind. So, about a week ago, as I was tailing my uncle, a young woman who was probably close to my age got into the car. At first, I thought that she was probably some relative, but then he took her to an expensive place. I got a bit behind them, and obviously I needed to have a reservation, but I still went in just so I could see them. Well, they were having quite the date, which told me that he was cheating on my aunt. I mean, cheating is not very surprising coming from a guy who lied and stole from his family and threw me under the bus. But it still surprised me because I believed that even when he betrayed me, he was doing it for my aunt or something similar to that. But he was not even loyal. Not that it would have changed anything, but it made it a lot easier for me to decide to destroy everything that he has. Well, anyways, after that date, they met 2 times consecutively, and every time they went to the same hotel, and I'm pretty sure this was because the hotel was far enough and in a place where my aunt would never ever even come by mistake, but it gave me an idea. Now, for the last few days, me and my girlfriend have been planning on doing something that could essentially help me prove my innocence. Being fully honest, it might not, but I still want to expose his actions. He's been spending the money that he's stealing on his side chick, who's probably 20 years younger than him. My aunt is going to kill him. I have some photos, but I've already learned my lesson. And this time I'm not going to give my uncle any chance to explain or manipulate my aunt into believing something else. I promise. So, guys, we've come up with a plan that, if it actually works out, will make it so that my aunt catches the uncle herself, so he's not going to have one bit of an excuse. You know, we just fully don't have a plan yet, so, guys, I'll let you go ahead and know when we do. But no matter what, one thing is for certain, I'm going to make my uncle pay for everything he did to me. I honestly still can't fathom that he got me kicked out so that he could buy more expensive things for his side chick. That was his reason behind doing all this. I feel like no amount of punishment is going to be enough for him. Update number 3. Hey guys, I'm back for what's probably the final update. I do apologize for leaving you in suspense for this long. It's been 60 days or so, and it just took us a little time to get the plan moving. If you remember my last update, I wrote about how my girlfriend and I were planning to trap my uncle when the time was right. Well, it turns out things don't work out very quickly in real life. Oh no, not even close. Well, it felt like an eternity to set everything up and wait for the time that would be good enough to execute everything without an issue going forward. So, this was the plan we were going forward with, and since I knew the hotel my uncle frequented, I wanted to get my aunt to catch him red-handed there, so there was no way that he could turn the situation and just simply get out of it. Well, the problem was my aunt was not going to take my word for it at all, so we came up with a brilliant idea. Guys, I took a page from my uncle's book and remade a voice of his using artificial intelligence. It's really easy these days. The funny thing was, because he used to have a vlog channel, I had so much of his voice that my version sounded hyper real. And I mean it. Well, then I just had to type simply enough sentences, and I got his voice finally, which I was going to use to bring my aunt to the hotel. Okay, while one side of the plan was working great, another side was having small problems as Uncle and his girl, whom we would call Cherry, were not going to the hotel anymore. Well, which became a pretty big hurdle. As a big part of the plan depended on them going to that hotel, my girlfriend had befriended a person that worked there and we needed him for our plan. Fortunately for us, about 2 weeks later, they started going back there once again. And our plan was on. You know, all of this time, though, I've been thinking to myself I was doing the right thing, and this was not really going to help me prove anything. It was more of a revenge for me, but after thinking for a long time, I decided that I was not wrong in doing this. He stole, he lied, and now he's cheating, stealing, lying, cheating. So it's not really wrong for me to expose him at this point. Then one day, when the time was right, the guy my girlfriend knew from the hotel informed us that they had gone in the room and gave us all of the details. Then I called my aunt using a different number, and my girlfriend spoke in an automated message-type voice. As soon as my aunt picked up, my girlfriend said that this is a message left to her by her loving husband. And my uncle himself told her that the car is going to come pick her up and he has a surprise for her. I booked a car and a driver, and my aunt dressed up and happily went. It felt a little bad, but it was necessary because there was no way that she was going to believe me. We then tailed the car and she was dropped in the hotel my uncle was at. My aunt then was greeted with flowers by the guy from the hotel, and he told her to go to this room where her husband was waiting with a surprise. She excitedly ran to the room practically, and we waited outside. Later I found out that she knocked, and since my uncle was told that he was getting a surprise for free, he opened up the door wearing a robe, and was shocked to see his wife. My aunt saw Cherry there and immediately slapped him and ran out of the building. She then went to my parents and called everyone there. While my uncle was actually followed, hoping that he could convince her to not tell everyone or something like that, but he immediately just got exposed, and I crashed his party too. I apologized to my aunt and told her the entire truth right from the start. I also showed the proof I collected by tailing him and explaining that he had paid a guy from the company to lie to us about the price of the materials. I also explained how he created my voice. And of course my aunt understood because I did the same to her. My uncle could do nothing but watch, as the family was starting to realize that he was the culprit all along. He apologized to aunt and begged her and my father to give him a chance, but all he got were slaps. At the end, he got kicked out, and my aunt also threw all of his stuff and promised to divorce him ASAP. While he was being forced out, I gave him a happy look and also gave him a thumbs up, which really made him mad. It was very satisfying to see him so angry. Finally, everybody was starting to apologize to me, and father was especially embarrassed with how little trust he showed in me. But I said it's fine. It's been a few weeks since then, and my aunt has filed for a divorce. I've not heard anything of my uncle, and hopefully I won't have to. Everything in my life has gone back to normal, and I'm happy once again. Lastly, I want to end this by thanking you guys and my girlfriend for being my pillar of strength when times were tough. Thanks a lot, guys.